absolutely everything. Chris Angel was just like levitating like out of nowhere. It was like unbelievable, unbelievable. It was fantastic. My friends back at home are not going to believe it when I tell them what's happened today.
Number 1 with the gear. Welcome to Vegas, boys.
Taco 3-1, base gear to stop right. Welcome to Nellis.
Here at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, 128 aircraft from 6 countries have assembled for the largest air combat exercises in the world. For the next 14 days, these aircraft and their crews will undertake a simulated air war. For many, it will be the final tune-up before they go into actual combat. They call it Red Flag.
At 12:18 p.m. on February 26, 1993, panic and confusion gripped the 110-story World Trade Center Tower 1. The destruction was massive. It was immediately apparent to investigators that whatever occurred below the street level was powerful enough to come up through 4 levels of the parking garage, up to the street and higher.
This date, June 25th, must not go unnoticed. It's the 20th anniversary of the vicious terror attack on Khobar Towers in Saudi Arabia. Most of us may have missed the anniversary since it happened over the weekend, but I know at least 19 families were painfully aware of this anniversary. It's the date their loved ones serving us in uniform were murdered. 19 U.S. Air Force personnel died in that terrorist attack. More than 350 others were injured. And who did it? Hezbollah with a truck bomb.
So you have no idea.
In October 2016, Saudi Arabia executed a member of the Saudi royal family for the first time since 1975. Although the execution decades ago was for assassinating the king, this time the member of the royal family was caught on tape firing an automatic weapon indiscriminately into a crowd of people. This harsh punishment sent waves throughout Saudi Arabia, whose population has long since accepted that the royal family is nigh untouchable. So what exactly is going on with the House of Saud? Well, at the head of the Saud family is King Salman, who holds absolute power over political decisions in the kingdom. Interestingly, succession within the Saud family has been unconventional for monarchs. Although the first king of the modern state of Saudi Arabia, Ibn Saud, was succeeded by his son, the next 5 leaders were all brothers. As a result, the relative age of each king has simply increased, with the current king assuming the role at the age of 79. Saudi royalty is originally descended from the original founder of the first Saudi state, Muhammad ibn Saud. There are actually estimated to be about 15,000 living members of the Saudi royal family, stemming from the incredible prolific Ibn Saud, who reportedly had 22 wives and used his marriages to solidify connections with other externally powerful families. But not all 15,000 members are wealthy or powerful, and in fact, true power is consolidated among roughly 2,000 members. These family members fill a number of roles throughout the government, and they are appointed by the king. In particular, the ministries of defense, interior, and foreign affairs are kept close in the family, as are the governors of the country's 13 provinces. It's also important to note that Saudi Arabia is actually controlled by 2 separate families. Besides the House of Saud, there is also the Al Sheikh family, who descended from the founder of Wahhabism, Saudi Arabia's ultra-conservative state religion. Although the 2 families work together, they each operate independent sections of the Saudi society. And in the meantime, a large number of the higher-ranking Sauds openly skirt both the country's legal system and Sharia law itself, frequently throwing parties featuring drinking, drugs, and sex.
be the underpinning of this entire trip.
by Rob O'Neill. He's the man who killed Osama bin Laden. Rob, welcome back. It's good to see you this morning.
As always, thanks for having me, Stuart.
16 years on, your thoughts, please.
You know, it seems like only yesterday. I was just down at the memorial today, and it's a blink of an eye. And the problem right now is, I mean, on 9/11, every anniversary, we say never forget, but as the days go on, we start to forget. Not here in Manhattan in particular, but around the country, and other things become more popular, like trying to tear down statues.
Well, what do we have to remember? If we shouldn't forget, what should we remember?
One of the points that I make is that Al-Qaeda hit the World Trade Center in 1993. They wanted to knock one tower into the other, but they failed. They did kill a few people, but it failed. They didn't forget about us, and we were saying they're going to come back. And we kind of let our guards down, and they came back. They're not going to forget about it. So it's not like Al-Qaeda is just gone or the Wahhabist ideology is gone. They want to hit us again. They they want to make announcements today that they haven't forgotten about us, and like we even get distracted by ISIS and Al Qaeda is kind of they're not hiding, they're in about 80 countries, and it's the same ideology, and they want to hit us just as bad now as they did on September 10th, 2001.
Hi guys, I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with John E. Hoover.
But I would say of all the videos that have been brought to my attention, this is probably the most or closest to something that I actually think is a real thing, and I do.
What we do see in John's video is mind-blowing.
But I would say of all the things I've seen, that is got the makings of something that's just really something. There's something there, man. And I do think there's gunfire in that room at that particular moment. It's not a coincidence. It's not something else. That's a weapon being fired up there.
Check this out.
There's been accusations or beliefs there's some explosives going off. That is also false. The only explosive contained in this event was from our SWAT team breaching the room.
We are live this morning. We are in Riyadh, and we are very happy to have with us Prince Al Walid. Thank you for having us. We are overlooking Riyadh this morning with you, and you're going to be with us for the hour. So thank you.
Pleasure to be with you.
Your Highness, so much to talk about, given in large part that Saudi is going through a remarkable transformation, this 2030 vision. We are here in large part, also because throughout the week, there's going to be a major conference with business leaders coming from all over. Let's just talk about this vision, the transformation of Saudi. Do you support it? You haven't spoken publicly about it yet.
Yeah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Pleasure to be with you on CNBC. Yes, I'm in full support of what's going on, because a few years ago, before King Salman took over, I went public with many of my requests and requirements to safeguard the interests of Saudi Arabia. And as you know, the economy is the vein of any country. And the economy of Saudi Arabia in 13, 14, and somehow in the beginning of 15 was not doing very good, because we were so much dependent on oil. 92% of our budget was dependent on oil. And I asked publicly that this is dangerous. So you have to have diversification, you have to have a sovereign wealth fund, and you have to have the less dependent on oil. Clearly, when King Salman took over, and Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who was appointed recently as the Crown Prince, took the initiative of initiating the 2030 vision. Clearly, all those requirements were fulfilled. So I'm full support of it, yes. And frankly speaking, right now, Saudi Arabia is in the midst of a major overhaul and change on all fronts: economical, financial, social, entertainment, and even political. So really, we always heard about the so-called Arab Spring in certain Arab countries. So this is our version, our Saudi version of Arab Spring, our peaceful Arab Spring. So what's happening right now is not an evolution. Frankly speaking, I'll use a taboo word. This is a revolution that's happening right now, albeit a very peaceful one in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like automatic gunfire.
Connect Parker. Parker 3805. 2705, runway 26 right, clear for takeoff. Redwood 1260 Las Vegas, runway 26 right, line of voice across the traffic. Redwood 1260, line up line. Redwood 1260, affirmative.
Lee Harvey Oswald is identical to Stephen Paddock. Paddock is blamed for the massacre of 58 people and killed and 500 wounded. He had nothing to do with it.
So was he a patsy?
That's up for grabs. We know that the Crown Prince Salman, who was King Solomon's son and the heir to the throne in Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince is progressive. He wants to give women's rights. He wants to have women be able to drive. He wants women to be able to have their hair what they want and to wear what they want. And the old guard doesn't want this. They're trying to kill Prince Salman. He had the top floor of the Mandalay Bay, and the bad guys in Saudi Arabia had a whole army here of people that were going to kill Prince Salman. We had to evacuate him, and they were up there to try and, well, they did exfiltrate the Crown Prince from the top of the Mandalay Bay. I've seen the radar tapes, and they take him about 5 miles each and then lose the radar signature. They obviously landed at a safe house and dropped him off there, but he's alive because we saved him. Now,
So program management, Saudi Army National Guard, started 44 years ago, 1973, as a government-to-government agreement between the royal family and the United States Department of Defense. And since that time, or at that time, the Saudi Army National Guard was about 30,000, and now it is upward of 100,000 size. Now that size force, of course, what our mission is to provide train, advise, and assist, and also the foreign military sales aspect of fielding the equipment, sustaining and training it. Now, our organization has also grown with the growing of the Saudi Army National Guard. And right now we're at about 233 personnel. Half are uniformed military, and then half are also government civilian employees. Well, good morning, everybody. And it's not just the aircraft, it's the people, it's the training, it's the maintenance, it's the construction, it's the facilities, and then it's the life cycle maintenance that you have to put into place to make sure it's not just getting the stuff, but how do you keep it flying and you keep everybody trained in flying that kit. Very unique opportunity. And I was honored to be selected for this a year ago this month and said, hey, you're going to Saudi Arabia.
visit with the tower?
Yep.
And you can crab with this?
Yeah.
Very effectively.
Both ways though?
What's that?
Both ways? Are crabs equally efficiently both ways?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I'm amazed. Normally when you're crabbing, you can really feel the rotor vibration.
Not this one.
Under Prince Mitab's vision,
Major General Frank Muth, who heads the program office. He says the latest focus for his office has been on aviation.
As of 18 months ago, they had no aircraft, and now we have fielded the 1st Brigade.
The goal is for 3 of those brigades, which according to the program office will be used to protect the kingdom's borders and important areas like oil fields.
Aviation provides that flexibility and that speed and that range.
According to a 2010 announcement, the fleet will be made up of 72 UH-60M Blackhawk and 12 MD-530F utility helicopters, along with 24 AH-64E Apache and 36 AH-6I attack helicopters. But why is America helping to build the Saudi National Guard in the first place?
called Q. This thing used to only exist in dark corners of the internet. Now it's a t-shirt, and the kind of thing you hear every time you go places where Trump has gathered crowds. It's gone mainstream. Q was even mentioned at the White House press briefing today.
First of all, that the president encouraged the support of people who showed up last night in these QAnon and Blacks for Trump fringe groups.
And on XQ, if he could throw us a bone and add the phrase tip top into one of the president's speeches while standing next to the Easter Bunny, which curiously had glasses on, just like the White Rabbit in Alice in Wonderland, quote, follow the White Rabbit, being a popular cue saying, Trump did in fact inform the world.
We keep it in tip-top shape. We call it sometimes tippy-top shape, and it's a great, great place.
Okay, it's a picture of Washington Crossing in Delaware. What's the big deal? Well, the very next day on Christmas, the Department of Defense posted the same exact picture.
Kind of let our guards down, and they came back. They're not going to forget about it. So it's not like Al-Qaeda is just gone or the Wahhabist ideology is gone. They want to hit us again. They want to make announcements today that they haven't forgotten about us. And like we even get distracted by ISIS, and Al-Qaeda is kind of in the... They're not hiding. They're in about 80 countries. And it's the same ideology, and they want to hit us just as bad.
Vegas. What hotel did the reported gunfire occur from? What floors specifically? Who owns the top floors? Top floors only. Why is that relevant? What doesn't add up? Was there only one shooter? Why was JFK released? What do the JFK files infer? Was there only one shooter? Who was in Las Vegas during this time? What was the real mission? Speculate. How does this connect to Saudi Arabia? What just happened in Saudi Arabia? Who owns the top floors of the hotel? What happened today in Saudi Arabia? To who specifically?
You know, this was, you know, quite a surprising move here by Prince Mohammed. I mean, most of all, this arrest or detainment of Al Walid. What does this mean for? Let's tackle Al Walid first. He's being detained. We're not exactly sure where, but what does this exactly mean for him and Kingdom Holding?
That some key detainees, including Prince Walid, had been transferred to detention elsewhere even in December.
The room he was in definitely was not a hotel room. It looked more like, I would say, a detention room or something related to a jail cell. Even the sounds of the doors sliding back and forth. It didn't look or sound like he was at the Ritz-Carlton.
You've known him obviously for many years. What sort of change do you think had come over the man that you saw through that video teleconference?
Dramatic changes. He looked completely different from the man I saw, whether in North America or in Saudi Arabia or in Switzerland. He wasn't the same person at all. He looked very sad. And very stressed.
But it gives a good idea of the lengths the kingdom's rulers are willing to go to humble a prince who was their most successful businessman.
This is the Prince's Palace, 317 rooms, finished 2 years ago at a cost of more than $100 million.
You like the house?
Nice house.
We go right there.
Nice, but it takes a long time to get anywhere. Up and down is easy, there are a dozen elevators. Along and across is hard. And since the Prince is a busy man, one of his assistants is on hand to offer a guided tour. Inside the palace walls, she can dress the way she would on Rodeo Drive. Just on the other side, she'd have to be covered in black from head to toe. How long does it take you to get to know your way around here?
About 2 months.
And while the Prince has a fully equipped gym, it's not entirely necessary. A power walk through his wardrobe provides enough exercise for all but the most ambitious. And here we have... A private cinema is a must because there are no public cinemas in Saudi Arabia. If you want to go to the movies, you have to stay at home. In Saudi Arabia, public entertainment of any kind is against the law. Cooking is not one of the Prince's hobbies, but he does have a kitchen. And these are the Highness's fridges?
Exactly.
For the royal snacks?
Yes.
Lots of fruit. There are 17 dining rooms, and since the palace is not that far from the office, the Prince comes home every day for lunch. And every day, a different dining room. Today the table is set next to the pool, one of his indoor pools. Among the guests today, and most every day, his personal physician and full-time hairdresser. Also at the lunch, but we weren't allowed to film her, was his 24-year-old third wife. His courtiers are here too. Dozens of men whose job is simply to hang out with the Prince. After lunch, the Prince dispenses largesse to a selected group of Saudi's neediest. Then coffee is served in the jungle room. The Prince decorated this one himself.
I like hunting a lot. And all the animals we have here, zebras, tigers, giraffes. But all these animals were really hunted by me and my family.
Every animal here was
Each single animal, and has picture under it also. So no one could dispute this.
Do you remember anything about these fellows?
No. These are really just very passive. They don't just come and say, kill me.
Well, they got what they asked for. He's surrounded by satellite dishes and giant television screens, all set up by a man who used to run communications for the White House. The desert was lit up by a bonfire and by dozens of spotlights revealing falcons and camels and a feast fit for a prince. The vast silence of the desert was broken only by the wail of mobile phones and by voices from America.
Ours will be a broad campaign, thought on many fronts.
But this is what the prince really wanted to show us. This is where the action was. Hundreds of people, men only of course, gathered inside a tent the size of a football field. They were all waiting to see His Royal Highness. It happens every week and goes on for hours. An ancient Saudi tradition called a majlis, or assembly. Every man gets to see the prince, gets to present a petition asking for assistance, for a house or a car, or for medical treatment abroad. Dozens of princes, including Crown Prince Abdullah, his uncle who runs the country, do the same thing. It's what the royal family calls democracy Saudi style.
You seem to be dealing with people from very different walks of life. Huh?
What do you mean?
I mean, some people don't look poor at all.
Well, you know, most of them are poor people, but when they come here, obviously, they come, you know, with the assumption that this is a very important occasion in their life and career. It's like going, for example, in the United States, someone going to the White House, meeting George Bush, or meeting the Secretary of Treasury, for example.
Is there any significance to kissing the right shoulder?
It's out of respect.
Mm-hmm. And you've got a reputation of being generous. Perhaps.
I love it. It's a duty. I love this. I love this. I adore it. Yeah. And look at them. They all love me. I love them. Look from their heart. That's an incredible form of democracy.
And if you want to hear how deeply they love the prince and the royal family, listen to the poetry. Men come from all over the kingdom to praise the prince. Al-Walid, however, seemed to have other things on his mind. But this man caught the prince's attention. He came to express his views on the man who humiliated the prince, the mayor of New York. Giuliani, you may not want to hear this, he says, but damn you, you lowlife, you're a lackey of the Jews. That is what he said.
I am a senior government employee in the intelligence community. I hope you understand that contacting you is extremely high risk. For now, know that every border you cross, every purchase you make, every call you dial, every cell phone tower you pass, friend you keep, site you visit, and subject line you type is in the hands of a system whose reach is unlimited.
Right this way, Your Highness. Really, Your Highness, I could just as easily have had Agent Maxwell summoned to my office.
I'm here to seek out Agent Maxwell's assistance on a matter most important to me. One who seeks the help of others does not do the summoning. Certainly, as a leader of men in your supervisory capacity, you're aware of that.
Oh, of course. No, of course. Agent Maxwell must have lent somebody his desk. He's normally immaculate.
Okay. Which one of you guys screwed the top of the mustard on crooked?
Agent Maxwell, I'd like you to meet King Abu al-Fahad of Sugali. His Majesty is in this country on a matter of some importance and delicacy. His son, Prince Aha, who is at university here in California, has disappeared. He's been missing from his dorm for 24 hours. We have reason to believe he may have been kidnapped.
Uh-huh.
Prince Aha. Maxwell, could you show a little respect?
If anyone could locate the whereabouts of my missing son, it's you.
Yes, sir.
A token of my appreciation.
Oh, boy, look at this. This is a photograph of the man the king thinks to be responsible for his son's disappearance.
This is Omar Stambouli. He's a lunatic, a revolutionary fanatic. Oh, he would abduct my beloved son, as a lever to topple the dynasty of Fahad. He must feel this is his final means to unseat me as king, since most of his assassination attempts have failed. Oh, he has tried everything. Putting explosive devices in my automobiles or poisoning the food that I eat.
Do you think that part of your problem in New York might have been simply the fact that you're a Saudi and Osama bin Laden is a Saudi, and there is a very deep antipathy towards Saudis in the United States right now?
I don't blame Mr. Giuliani and the people in New York at all for being very worried and concerned about what took place over there. And being a Saudi, for sure, it's scary at this stage. But I think with time, they'll understand that this is an isolated incident. This has nothing to do with real Saudis that really love and admire America.
But do the real Saudis really love America? Not according to Saad al-Faghi.